So I'm going to talk about waterfall patterns in this, and this will be a fairly quick video. Waterfall patterns are something that happens after an area of resistance. So it's called a waterfall because you can think of it as a stream. If you're looking at a stream from a side view, obviously streams all flow downhill, right? They all flow downhill, so they're flowing along, and at a certain point, if there's a huge elevation drop, there's going to be a waterfall, right? So it's running along, and then it just plummets. And so in cryptocurrency, in assets, in stocks, in futures, in Forex, this is a pattern that happens. And what's going to happen is you're going to have an area of resistance usually. Stream's kind of level, it's flowing along, and then just a massive plummet. And what you need to understand is that these patterns, these charts, all we're dealing with is human emotion, action and reaction, and global economy. When a market crashes, when the Great Depression happens, it was an entire economy. When World War II broke out and steel needed to be produced all of a sudden, jobs were stimulated, war was good for the economy, it created jobs, the economy was booming, people were making money, there was food on the table, right? Well, what happens with charts is global economy, human emotion, human action, and human reaction. So what we have here usually with charts, I'm telling you guys, this is just a case of stupidity. What we're usually dealing with is taking advantage of stupid people. Some people are more stupid, some people are less stupid, and that's all we're doing. We have a combination of smart and stupid people with cryptocurrency. Smart people sell at the top, smart people buy at the bottom. Idiots buy at the top, idiots sell at the bottom. So that's what we're dealing with here. This is a waterfall pattern right here, and I will draw it out so you guys can see, but we've got an area of resistance kind of flowing downhill. You can see this. We've got an area of resistance right in here. It's fairly level, but it is flowing downhill somewhat. But then look at this steep dive over a 2-hour period. Steep dive. That is our waterfall. Now look at the equal and opposite reaction. So there's kind of a consolidation. We're playing tug of war. We're in an area of resistance. We kind of are moving down, and then with massive force, the sellers sell down the market. Buyers see that as an opportunity, equal and opposite reaction. They buy up with just as much force, just as much volume. They react and they buy the market back up. This is your stream flowing along, kind of coming downhill, flowing, not too much of an elevation change, and then boom, they run into a cliff. The sellers sell down the market. The buyers go, oh, that's a great opportunity, and they buy up the market. Some smart buyers in here because maybe they made some sells here. Okay, buyers in here, and then they're getting dumber and dumber and dumber, and then finally they stop being so stupid. They stop buying at a high, and then the sellers take control of the market. They sell the market back down again, and it bobs along, comes back up, okay? So what's happening right in here is your stream flowing along, kind of going downhill, but not much, and then a sudden, sharp, downward movement with massive force, massive volume, creating your waterfall, followed by a reciprocation of an uphill force, equal and opposite, with good volume, buyers picking it up, return into its area. Buying the dip down here. This came down to 3,460 Satoshi, and it came up to 3,600. Now, you'll see a lot of waterfall patterns very apparent in scalping plays. It's not often you're going to see a waterfall happen over a period of days and days and days. Waterfall patterns are going to be more apparent for scalping plays. So you're going to see them on the short term. You're going to usually see waterfall patterns take place over a period of a few hours, if not just a couple hours. And you usually don't see them much beyond that. So when you're looking for waterfall patterns, this is usually going to be a strategy for scalping plays. And when you see that, this is a good indicator to go, okay, well, this is a good buy, this is a good sell. And this type of patterns where you're going to usually produce some good 5, 10, 15, 20% gains. I mean, you can see right here, 3,465 to 3,600. I mean, that's only a 5% gain, but if you can do that a few times, and look, re-entry down here again at 3,440, and a sell up here again, that's 10% in a few hours. So that's your waterfall pattern. Once again, this is going to be really good for scalping plays. That's where you're going to see it most often, and once again, you're going to want to combine that. I mean, if I went in here and I brought up my RSI, I'd probably see, maybe not, 100%, but I'd probably see that it was relatively low at that point right in here. And you can see, I mean, it came down to a 28, 29 right in there. So it was fairly low, and it's likely that the Bollinger Bands were probably, it broke through the bottom in that area. And let's create that. And it did. It broke through substantially with good volume, and it pinged right back up. And then we'd probably also see if we threw just, a moving average up there, a simple moving average, and we brought the interval down to, let's just say 13, and went ahead and click create, we'd probably see that it's below the moving average market, symbolizing that the market is bearish. That is your waterfall pattern. We'll see you in the next video.